All right, what's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip, where every single week I come to delivering different tips, tactics, and strategies that I've learned on my 20-year-long personal journey that have allowed me to become one of the top realtors and team leaders on the planet, with selling well over 7,000 homes and sharing this information with you here on the GSD Mode podcast in hopes that you take this information in, that you take massive action on it, and go out there and create that real estate business and that life that you truly know that you want and that you deserve. All right, so today I'm here to talk to you about the coming real estate market crash and exactly what to do to pivot, shift, and adapt to ensure that you are thriving during these times. Look, I don't want any of you to just survive. I want you to go out there and thrive. Again, create that real estate business and life that you know that you want and deserve. Now, I want to lead off with this before I jump into why I believe the market's going to crash, because what I'm going to be breaking down here with you today is why I believe the market is going to crash. And then from there, what I believe to be is the 5 most important things that you do to operate by and shift and adapt towards, to ensuring that you continue to grow and scale your real estate business regardless of the overall economy. Now, it's really important to understand that you and you alone dictate your success. You can never allow yourself to become a victim and blame outside circumstances. So I never want you to allow yourself to blame the market, to blame interest rates, to blame, oh, we're in a recession, the economy's bad, blaming the economy, blaming who the president is. None of those things matter. And I'm not saying those things don't matter in life, but they don't matter when it comes to the success of your overall real estate business. If you are not crushing it, whether it be right now or any other point in time in your career, it's just because you haven't pivoted. You haven't pivoted your strategies to the most effective strategy. You're not taking the right actions. You haven't developed the right skill sets. You're not abiding by the right habits and behaviors, and so forth. Success is an internal process. So never allow yourself to become a victim and blame outside circumstances. Because if I'm blaming interest rates, if I'm blaming the market, if I'm blaming the economy, I'm giving up my internal power and saying that, oh, this is greater than me, meaning that, okay, I can't create success until these things turn around, until interest rates come back, and all of it's BS. Somebody's always out there winning. I can promise you that. Go to any point in time, including right now in your real estate market, and I can promise you somebody is crushing it and kicking ass, right? So we got to understand that. Now, like I said today, I'm going to be breaking down why I believe that the real estate market is going to crash. And then from there, the 5 essential things that you must dial in to ensure that you are pivoting and adapting in the right way, so that way you are in the best possible position to go out there and thrive. Now, I want to lead off with saying this. When I say that I believe that we are headed to a market crash, and look, depending on where you're located, this is going to be different time frames. Real estate's very hyper local. So this might be in the next 12 months, next 24 months. I don't know exactly when it comes to timing, but with everything that we are seeing right now, and I'll get into why I believe what I'm seeing right now and why I believe that this is going to take place, then I'll get into the 5 things that you need to adapt for. But I just want you to understand and know that, hey, this is just my opinion. And anything anybody else says, now I know my opinion is contrarian and not, what most people think out there. Most people, when you are polling, most economists, most people inside our real estate industry, they'll be like, oh man, we're not going to see another crash, right? It's not a popular opinion out there. But look, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know for a fact this is going to take place. I can't tell you with 100% certainty that this is going to take place. However, I believe in something that served me extremely well throughout my 20 years. And in that my 20-year journey, I've seen the 2 biggest real estate booms that have ever existed in United States recorded history. So 2005, and then again in 2021, 2022, what we just got out of. But then I've also been through and experienced the biggest real estate market crash in recorded history. So this 20 years has been just this wild ride of huge ups, huge downs, huge ups. It's been a wild, crazy ride, when it comes to this. So this is just my prediction, but I have found that if you hope for the best and plan for the worst, that to be the best overall strategy when it comes from a planning perspective with our business. The best way to hedge out there is hope for the best, plan for the worst. Because if worst case doesn't happen, well, then I'm good. But then guess what? If it does happen, then I'm good as well. And that's what allowed my business to grow and scale. Didn't matter whether it's boom, bust, crash, anything in between. My business has continued to grow and scale year after year for my 20 years that I've been on this journey, regardless of the marketplace. Okay, so with that being said, why do I think the market is going to crash? What I'm going to cover here first, and I'm going to jump into the 5 must-have or must-do things for you to go out there and do. But real quick, before I do so, just 2 real quick things. Make sure that you are checking out gsdmode.com. That's my main website for the podcast here, where there's additional free resources on there for you. So if you enjoy and get a lot of value out of this podcast, I highly encourage you to jump over there. And I want you to take 2 actions on there. First action is right now I am putting on every single day a free in-depth 3-hour masterclass called 6 Steps to 3Xing or more your real estate business within the next 12 months, regardless of market conditions. I know and understand a lot of people right now are struggling. Whether that mean that your business is down, or maybe you're just struggling to go out there and hit the growth that you want to go out there and experience. This is a deep dive 3-hour in-depth masterclass where I'm walking you through exactly what you need to do today. The 6 fundamentals you must hone in today to ensure that your business is kicking ass in this market. And it is 100%, 1000% a possibility to 3x or more your business in the next 12 months. 100% free, no strings attached. It's just an in-depth, hardcore, amazing masterclass that's going to make sure you have all the tools that you need. And I'm going to make sure I share all the information with you on the training, but then I give you the download playbook after the fact. So then you have your execution playbook to ensure that you have success implementing what you learned there on that training. The other thing is if you want to, I'm offering right now for a limited amount of time, 100% free 60-minute Zoom coaching calls with me personally, where you and I can jump on a Zoom call together, do a deep dive into your business, and just make sure that you have the best strategy plan in place to make sure that you are hitting your goals. So if you're stuck on anything, if you're not hitting, your targets, if business isn't crushing it right now and you don't know exactly what to do, I encourage you to take advantage of both of these opportunities while they exist, while they last. And you can do that at gsdmode.com. Okay, so now let me get into, and I'll be quick on this because I know I've created many other podcasts where I've went more in depth on this, but why am I predicting a market crash? Now, the only way that I am seeing that this market isn't going to crash is if there is massive intervention, meaning massive manipulation, like we saw in 2020. COVID hits and Federal Reserve steps in and starts buying $90 billion a month of mortgage-backed securities. They became essentially not just the primary, but the only buyer of, or big player at least, of mortgage-backed securities for that 2-year era period of time. And what did that do? That artificially, so this was through manipulation. This wasn't through natural markets. This was through manipulation by their intervention of buying an average of $90 billion a month of mortgage-backed securities, and mortgage-backed security purchases is what sets interest rates for mortgages on real estate, right? So that's what artificially got interest rates to the lowest that we've ever seen in recorded history. Now that was, some 100-year crazy pandemic thing, whether you buy into that, story or not, it just is what it is. The actions were the actions, but look, that was the first time that has ever taken place to that magnitude, not a pandemic, but with the Federal Reserve taking those actions and taking those moves in the United States recorded history. I don't know if we will ever see that again. And maybe we will with another pandemic or World War III erupts or whatever, but it's going to take some insane intervention, insane manipulation from the powers that be to change this course. And I don't know if they're able to, if they even can at this point. They may not have exhausted all their tools that they have available to them. So assuming that doesn't take place and things continue on the path that they are continuing right now, where, okay, you got the Federal Reserve butting out right now and just letting the markets do their thing, right? If they continue on the path we are on right now and just no intervention, I am completely convinced, right? If I was a betting man, if I was a gambler, which I'm not, but if I was a betting man, betting on an absolute market crash. Now let's define a crash. A crash is a correction beyond 20%. So you got real estate corrections and then you got crashes. So crashes, okay, my prediction and what I'm planning on betting on is that real estate market prices will come down from 20% of their peak in throughout the United States. I'm here in the U.S., actually in Phoenix, Arizona, but I've got coaching clients all throughout the U.S. I got to know different markets all throughout the U.S. Got coaching clients pretty much in every state, every city, and every major city in every state. So I've got to pay attention to all markets here in the United States. So if you're listening to this and you're in another country, now when we look at, okay, Canada, the central banks and the powers that be in most other countries are following suit right now and have the same issues that we have. So this will probably be more than likely something that takes place globally and not just here in the US. But when I'm talking about these things specifically for the podcast today, I'm talking about what we're seeing here in the US. Okay. So a crash is a correction beyond at 20%. Why do I think that we will see that? We're talking from peak pricing down to, whatever they end up at, which will be below 20% of that peak. Okay, so reason number one, if we look at what's going on with the consumer and specifically consumer debt versus savings rates. Now, who are our clientele that we are helping buy and sell real estate? Yeah, you might represent some investors, but the vast majority of real estate transactions, at least as of right now, are regular people that are, just raising families. They're you and I, we're all consumers, right? So we're not, running a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund or whatever, right? They're just regular families, regular people like you and I that are out there buying real estate, that are raising their families, need a home. That's the vast majority of transactions that take place out there. So this is something that I pay very close attention to is, okay, well, what is the state of the consumer, which makes up most of the purchases within the product that it is that you and I sell. So if we look at the debt to savings rates right now, and you can go Google this, like go to Google, put in Google, Federal Reserve St. Louis, the St. Louis Fed is what tracks this specific data. There's different departments, if you will, within the central bank, and they all have different responsibilities. So this is something that St. Louis Federal Reserve tracks and measures and pays attention to. So Federal Reserve St. Louis consumer debt versus savings rate. So just go to their website. I don't need to go read, I don't go pay attention to the news. I go to first sources so I can see exactly what's going on. And there will be a big ass graph right on the front of their website, and you will see on there. And you can go back as far as you want to take that this track data is that they've been tracking this data, but as long as they've been tracking it. So we'll call that recorded history of consumer debt versus savings rate. At no point in history have we seen the gap this wide, debt versus savings. And at no point in history have we seen it accelerating at the speed it is accelerating right now. So what this shows me is that the consumer out there is not just barely hanging on. They're broke and they're not hanging on. Things have already broke. The only way they are just surviving life right now is to continue to grow debt and debt and debt. So savings is getting lower and lower and lower. Debt is getting higher and higher and higher. Eventually, people are going to hit their breaking point, and I believe that they're already there. Every time you go to the grocery store, every time you go out to eat, every time you go out there and do anything, life is getting so insanely expensive. We're in this massive unaffordability crisis. It is now the most expensive time to be alive as a U.S. citizen versus any other time in recorded history. If you look at Gen Z in their 20s today versus baby boomers in their 20s, Gen Z has 90% less purchase power than boomers did in their 20s. Right. So when we look at this, that means that our dollar is just getting devalued every day, every month. And when you have a government that is adding $1 trillion to the debt, to the deficit every 100 days, that debases our currency. So yeah, we've got CPI inflation, but then we also have the debasement from our government taking money out of the future, pulling that into the now. So then it's a double whammy on this inflation issue, just meaning that the cost of life is getting more and more expensive. So if you look at this right now, life is getting about 11% more expensive year over year. And you got to take that. You can't just look at CPI. Oh, well, if you believe the CPI index, but let's just say we can believe it. And it was true, which I don't, and it's not. But let's just say it was. Okay, that's at 3% or whatever they're quoting it right now. But then if we look at when the government is pulling money out of the future, pulling it into the now, right, at the level that they are, that is devaluing and debasing our currency by about 8% year over year right now. And if they have to start printing more money, even more so than they are now, it's going to debase it further. So now we're looking at, okay, 11%, meaning every single year you have 11% less purchase power than you did the year before. Now, what do most people get raises at? 3% year over year? So then at that run rate, I mean, we're talking like an 8%, hit on living every single year. So life is getting 8% more expensive every single year. And that's if you're getting a raise. A lot of people haven't had raises in years because businesses are struggling but let's just say you work at a business that isn't struggling, like most raises are, around 3% year over year. Now, you and I are very blessed to be in an industry where we get to pick and choose how much income that we make. Like that's 100% our control. So my recommendation is to make sure that you're at least growing your business 11% year over year, if not 20% year over year. So you can outpace this, so growing it by 20% year over year. So again, you're not taking a hit on life, and your life actually improves, by 9% year over year after we make these adjustments. And this is it's probably a multi-decade long problem. Maybe it's less than that, but it's not going to be less than 5 to 10 years out. Like this is going to be fixed. Regardless of who the president is, this is much deeper than that. So life is like this unaffordability crisis is just going to get worse and worse and worse and break more and more and more of the consumer. And that is going to then drive it to a point where the consumer can't transact is in real estate, right? So, and we're seeing this right now. So I'll just use my market as an example in case your market isn't experiencing this yet. But my average price point is down about $75,000 from peak in my market already. So then from there, we have a shit ton more inventory available. So they have more options to go out there and pick and choose from. They can get that same house or a better house because they have more options to choose from for 75 grand less. And interest rates are about 1.5%, 2% better than the peak of the height that we saw. But people aren't coming out of droves to go out there and buy. We actually just saw last month the lowest mortgage application demand that we've seen in over 35 years, even lower than when interest rates were above 8%. So even though interest rates are down significantly versus the peak, now they're starting to go back up again. But they were down significantly from the peak. Okay, we didn't see a big increase. We didn't see any increase. We actually saw a decline in people going out there and applying for mortgages. So we're continuing to see transaction volume decline because, again, the consumer is just getting hammered. Everybody's getting hammered other than a small select percentage. I don't even want to say the top 5%. It's more like if you're not in the top 1% right now, like life is getting harder and harder and harder, from a financial perspective. Okay, we just had the third biggest month of layoffs since 2008. Third biggest month. And that includes all the shit that took place during COVID. The third biggest month that we've seen since the great financial crisis. Right now, we're experiencing the largest big business bankruptcies since 2009. That was also during the great financial crisis. So if we look at the unaffordability crisis that we're experiencing, right, what are we seeing right now in every single market? Now, I understand that there's a small percentage of the country that is still in a seller's market, getting multiple offers. I was having a coaching call with a client the other night in New York, in his market in the state of New York. They're still seeing multiple offers in every single property. Now, that is a minority of the country. The vast majority has either already transitioned well into a buyer's market or in that stage of transition to buyer's market where it's softening very fast, and or they're declining. But even in that market with my coaching client, it's like, okay, yeah, they're still receiving multiple offers, but it's lesser multiple offers, right? So they're already seeing a very slow correction. So even those that are in sellers markets, at least all the conversations that I'm having with, it is slowing down, which is the beginning phases of that correction when it comes to that. So we're seeing listing inventory go up. Like if you look at my market, listing inventory is up 39% year over year. If you look at from, kind of peak peak pricing market, let's just call that 2022, versus what we see today is like, okay, we had about, 5,000 or 6,000 active listings. Now we got about 20,000, right? So in less than a 2-year period of time, we've stacked on, about 15,000 listings. Year over year, our listing inventory is up 39%, and overall transaction volume is down 8%. Now, this is market stats, not talking about my personal business stats. Our business is doing great, and we're making these moves I'm going to walk you through here in a minute. I'm talking about overall stats here, within the market. In most areas, you're seeing this. You're watching listings go up and up and up, and transaction volume go down and down and down because of all the reasons that we just talked about earlier. And when we look at all of this, boils down to supply and demand. The more supply that there is of any product, and the lesser the buyer demand, the more it drives down prices. So when you got more buyer demand than you do listings, or of that product, like let's just say, okay, I got 10 water bottles, but I got 100 thirsty ass people. Okay, you can charge an absolute premium and get into bidding wars because there's only 10 water bottles and you got 100 thirsty ass people. But if we reverse that, if you got 100 water bottles and only 10 thirsty people, okay, discount prices are going to start getting slashed. Yeah, right. So that's the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market. Now, a crash is going to be, in order to make something crash, we're going to have to go into a much more severe buyer's market than just, there's different extremes of this, right? So listings continue going up, transaction volume continue going low, getting lower and coming down. And we got to be prepared for this. So if this continues, in my market, I think within 12 months, with everything that we're seeing right now, everything I'm tracking, I track this like a hawk month over month, tracking the data, tracking the KPIs, we'll be in a crash, in crash territory in less than 12 months. But if you look at Phoenix, Arizona, where I'm at, we are usually 6 to 12 months ahead of the rest of the country. If you look at any of my channel accounts, so like REOs, asset managers, my underwriters for our institutional investors that we work with, they always tell me that, hey, we always watch Phoenix, Arizona, because it's an indicator of what our other markets are going to be looking at in the next 6 to 12 months. Now, there's different severities of this. My market might end up crashing 60%. Your market might only crash 23%, right? There's going to be different severities of this. And there's a lot of what went up faster usually comes down faster, right? So if you're in a market like mine, or a state like you got Arizona, you got Texas, you got Florida, you got Atlanta, you got Tennessee, not just Atlanta, Georgia, but if we look at those big cities like Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, these Phoenix, Arizona, areas that just spiked up like crazy, okay, like the more that acceleration, usually the more that it comes down. Okay, so those are the reasons as to why I believe it's going to crash. Now let's get into the 5 things to ensure that you are prepared. Okay, so first thing here is going to be a mental philosophy that I call the strategic mindset. Now, I'm not talking about mindset like, oh, you got this, you can do it, rah, rah. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about mindset, meaning a personal philosophy that you choose to operate your business by, which is the strategic mindset is this. There is no such thing as a good market. There is no such thing as a bad market. The market is always good for. It is your job as a real estate professional to identify whom the market is good for, shift, pivot accordingly when it comes to your time, energy, focus, attention, prospecting, marketing to whom the market's good for. So you always got to be assessing the landscape, and be asking yourself, okay, who's buying? Who's selling? What are they buying? What are they selling? What are where are they buying? Where are they where are they going? All of these things. So I'm going to break that down and assess that. Sometimes we have to shift product. Sometimes we have to shift our ideal client of whom we are targeting. And these can be from different circumstances. So let's just say, the other day I'm talking with a coaching client that's in Florida, and their niche was, or kind of currently is, but they're shifting from that now, of beachfront condos, where there's all these HOA issues caught up in all this litigation, all these lawsuits, like all this crap going on. And it's just created kind of a gridlock, a stalemate, if you will, with buyers, wanting to buy that type of product. So listings are just sitting. And I'm like, okay, if I'm you, I'm going to assess, okay, what is moving in my market? So let's just say as an example, and I use this just an example, I don't know their particular market like they do, but okay, like maybe I discover that, okay, single family detached properties that are 3 miles inland maybe are moving and aren't experiencing that same issue. So sometimes we got to pivot product, right? But then from there, just always assessing, okay, my job is to move the real estate. My job is to, like, if I look at my niche overall, just to give you an example, single family real estate in Phoenix metropolitan area, my job is to move that product. So I always have to be assessing who's buying it, who's selling it, why are they buying it, why are they selling it, where are they coming from, where are they going, and again, pivot and adapt my strategy accordingly. So no such thing as a good market, no such thing as a bad market. It's always good for somebody that keeps you in that proactive mindset, in a proactive strategy planning state, so you can always be looking for those opportunities. Okay, that leads me into number 2 here, which is to be well-rounded. Some of the best advice I ever got from one of my mentors early on was, Josh, if you want to have a real estate business that continues to grow and scale your whole entire career, regardless of the marketplace, feel like you got to get damn good at acquiring traditional buyers and sellers, then get damn good at acquiring investors and servicing investor clients, then get damn good at acquiring and servicing distress, meaning, short sales and REOs. Because no matter what's going on with the economy and what's going on with the market, one of those is always going to be strong. And there might be markets where they're all 3 strong, right? But then from there, in addition to that, you got to get damn good at your ability to read the markets and know who these are strong for, so you can pivot accordingly. But in order to do that, you got to be well-rounded. Like, you got to know, like I used to get coaching clients that would come to me, let's just call it 2019, that like, Josh, why do you teach us about how to go after pre-foreclosures and how to process short sales? And like, why do you have this training in here? And I didn't force them to take it. Like that was just training that was available to them if they chose to take it, because we weren't seeing a lot of short sales, I mean, we were seeing them, but there wasn't like a huge percentage of the business. And that wasn't, most, real estate agents and team leaders and broker owners' radars at that time. And my answer to them is, hey, look, at some point you're going to experience these and see these. And at some point, this will be a massive opportunity throughout your career that you could take advantage of if you choose to. I want to make sure that you are well-rounded. So it's like right now, like I should really just encouraging my coaching clients to make sure that they know how to process short sales. I'm giving them all the contacts that I have to get in with REO, all those different things, so that they can go out there and start taking advantage of this business in addition to investor opportunities, in addition to traditional buyer and seller. So make sure that you are well-rounded. Okay, the third thing here is playing strategic offense. And this is one of the biggest reasons as to why people are hurting right now, is they haven't shifted yet from playing defense to strategic offense. So defense is you're waiting for things to come to you. Now, 2012 through middle 2022, longest bull market recorded history, longest real estate expansion recorded history, longest bull market, in recorded history. So that was just easy street. Look, there were 7 million transactions closing per year. That was just a crazy freaking time. We've never seen a decade plus period of time like that in the United States recorded history. So since 17, or whatever, I'm blanking around 1776, we haven't seen anything like that. It's probably the only time that we will see that in our lifetimes, but you could just kind of show up, you could just wing it, kind of show up, kind of work, kind of be consistent and go out there and make multiple six figures. Things aren't going to fall in your lap anymore. All that low hanging fruit is dried up. So we need to switch from defense to strategic offense. What do I mean by strategic offense? By strategic, because this is two words, strategic offense. By strategic, I mean, you need to be laser focused on whom you are going after that has the highest probability of needing your services based on the given market that we are in. Then by offense, I mean, okay, you're not waiting for shit to come to you. What can you do that's in your full control, where your fate is in your own hands? I show up each and every single day. I take X amount of actions. That is going to translate to X amount of units, X amount of deals, X amount of cash in your pocket. That is playing strategic offense. I'm not waiting for anything to come to me. What can I do where I'm guaranteed if I take these actions, target these people, and take these right actions, I'm guaranteed to hit my income goals. That is what I mean by strategic offense. Okay, pivot number 4, thing number 4 that you need to be doing here is treating your business as a business. Like I said, winging it no longer is going to cut it. You got to treat your business as a business. How do I know if you're not treating your business as a business and if you're just winging it? Number one, if you're showing up to the office, you're like, oh, I'm going to work hard today. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do today? That is you just winging it. If you're treating your business as a business, you are going to have a strategic plan in place where you know with precision what you must do to win every single day, every single week, where this is predictable. There is no, what am I going to do? It's more of a, here's exactly what I need to execute on today and this week and this month to ensure I hit my target. And then number 2, if you are not tracking the most important numbers that you need to be tracking in your business, those are the 2 red flags of how I know somebody's winging it. So when I talk about treating your business as a business, what does that mean? Okay, you are obsessing over strategy, making sure you've got, the best, most effective plan in place to get you from where you're at to where it is that you want to go. Number 2, you got a process-based business. Processes are the step-by-step instructions. Here's the steps to execute on my strategy. Number 3 is boom, you got systems where your processes live. Systems exist for your processes to live, to ensure that your processes are executed on the same way each and every single time and things aren't missed. So that way you are executing consistently in the right ways on your strategies and in the most effective and efficient manner. And then again, you're tracking each essential element so you can create predictability inside your business and see where you need improvement when it comes to skill sets and other things inside your business. That's what I mean by treating your business as a business. And those that are winging it are getting crushed right now and are going to continue getting crushed as this thing gets worse and worse and worse, right? So that's a blessing of this industry, is because so few in our industry are committed to doing what it takes. It is like fishing with dynamite. You really don't have that much competition. Yeah, right. You have a lot of competition, and this industry is very hard, especially in times right now with shifting markets. As we're getting deeper in this economic winter, it's going to get more challenging too. But that is a choice, because if you are struggling right now, like you and I probably can have an honest conversation with each other and see very quickly that you are winging it and you're not doing the things that you need to be doing. Okay, so then the 5th component, this is really, really important, which is what I call the 4 pillars to client acquisition. So if you were to jump on this free Zoom 1 hour long coaching call with me, this is what I'm really going to walk you through, right? So when it comes to new client acquisition, meaning, okay, if you are struggling to hit the closing target that you need to be hitting, whether it's as individual agent, team, or brokerage, because we got to close deals, right? Or get our agents closing deals. If you are struggling to hit your closing goal, your problem lies within one of these four areas when it comes to client acquisition, your ability to get more customers so you can get paid on these commission checks, right? So here's the four pillars that you got to dial in, and you got to be able to assess in your own business, where is the hole with these? Now, if you have a difficult time with that and you're unable to assess this on your own and identify where those holes are, this is why I'm doing these free Zoom coaching calls. Go book one right now. You can jump on it with me. I will make sure that you know exactly where the hole is and what you need to do to fill that hole, and make sure that you have the best plan in place to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. So again, you can go to gsdmode.com to schedule that. Okay, so pillar number one is who you are targeting. So are you targeting the right people that have the highest probability of needing your services based on the market that we are in and based on the times that we are in? We got to make sure we're targeting the right people, right? So we want to, especially right now, as things get tighter, you got to target people that need to buy and sell, not that want to buy and sell, but people that need to want to buy and sell. So if you, with your lead gen and lead follow-up, if you're having conversations with a lot of people that seem like they have no urgency and are unmotivated, okay, I'm telling you right now, you're targeting the wrong people. Okay, number two, you got to make sure that your overall lead gen strategy and follow-up strategy is dialed in based on whom you are targeting. So when we look at lead gen and lead follow-up, right? Like I'm looking at a few things. Okay, number one, what's your overall process that you are applying? So are you following, like just talk about follow-up process for a minute. Like, are you following up long enough, following up frequently enough, and in the right ways to maximize conversions per lead source? And then from there, okay, based on who you are targeting, do you have the right mediums to go out there and deploy your lead gen strategy? Now, a medium is, okay, Facebook, the phone, the mailbox, email, right? This is just where your message is seen. Like, do you have the right medium when it comes to who you are targeting to maximize conversions based on what your goals are? Really, really important, because I'm telling you, it all works. Like, mailers work, emails work, cold, even if it's cold emails, cold texts, cold calling works, Facebook works, Google works, YouTube, like it all works, but you got to make sure that you have the right medium based on whom you are targeting. Then from there, you got to have the right messaging, and you got to have the right, overall frequency, make sure you're following up long enough. All of those things are paramount and essential. So we want to make sure that you've got the right lead gen strategy, process, and medium when it comes to reaching the people that you are targeting. Okay, then pillar number three is your own personal skill set. Have you acquired the right skill set and or skill sets necessary for you to have success on acquiring these new customers? And then the fourth pillar is assessing, okay, are you taking enough actions, with those? Like, okay, you can have all those other things dialed in, but we got to deal in realities. Like, okay, maybe you're, I don't know, doing this activity, your conversions are great, and you're hitting, exceptional conversions, but you're just not taking enough action with that thing. Like, we got to make sure, are you taking enough action to hit your target and goal, with this thing? Or do you need to take do more actions, more activities, meaning, generate more leads, per that thing that you're looking for? So these are the four things I'm always breaking down. I'm looking, right? So when it comes to anybody that is struggling from obtaining more customers, more clients, and they're not hitting their target, the issue is always found within these four things. And again, if you have a difficult time assessing in your own business where that hole is, jump on that Zoom call with me. I'm happy to make sure that you get this dialed in ASAP, when it comes to that. So these are the 5 things to make sure that you are pivoting and shifting to ensure that you are thriving during this economic winter that we are stepping deeper and deeper into. And here's the good thing, is that these 5 things are going to apply whether it's a boom, bust, crash, anything in between. So these will serve you throughout the whole entire rest of your journey. So you might as well get them dialed in right now, because they will make some of the biggest differentiators in just overall impact on your future growth inside your real estate business. So and I hope that you found this helpful. Again, make sure to check out gsdmode.com. Make sure to sign up for my 3-hour in-depth masterclass on 3xing your real estate business in the next 12 months. And if you would like to, and you could use my help, jump on that 60-minute Zoom call with me. It's going to be with me personally. And I promise, like, I won't let you down. I will make sure that this is the best 60 minutes that you've ever invested. I hear it all the time. I hear people all the time like, man, I invested, I'm not going to name them on here, but all the top coaches out there in our industry, I've been working with them. I paid them 40 grand over the last 2 years, and do this 60 minutes with you was more powerful than this coach that I paid, 10 grand to, 12 grand to over the last, 90 days. And this free 60-minute call is more powerful than all of that combined with that. So I'm not here to waste your time. I'm here to pour into you, help you, and I ensure that you will not leave this free Zoom coaching call without knowing exactly what you must do to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. So again, go to gsdmode.com to take those actions. All right, you guys, hope this was helpful. Truly appreciate you and all your support, and we will see you next time. Peace.